Apple's 12-inch MacBook is finally coming from the dead, and as of yesterday, we now have enough evidence to essentially confirm that it's coming within the next 6 months. And let me tell you, when it does, the budget Windows laptop market is absolutely screwed. And I'm gonna prove it to you in this video by going through 6 reasons why this is such a massive deal. But first, I gotta give you guys 4 pieces of evidence that confirms that this new MacBook is coming. Starting off with number 1, Mark Gurman just reported yesterday that Apple is preparing to enter the low-cost laptop market for the first time ever, and Apple's targeting would-be iPad buyers who might prefer a traditional laptop instead of an iPad. And this is actually the first time that Apple is using an iPhone chip in a Mac, and according to Gurman, the price is going to be similar to what you can get with an entry-level iPad paired with a Magic Keyboard, which is roughly $600. Can you believe it? And Mark Gurman confirmed that the code name for this new leaked MacBook is J700, and that actually brings us to number 2. Marko Zivkovic from Apple Insider a few weeks ago reported every new Mac launch expected from now until next year, and that was leaked within macOS Tahoe code, and that leaked J700 identifier was there within the code, matching what Mark Gurman found. So that is this new budget MacBook with an iPhone chip, and it's going to be launching within macOS 26.3, which points to a springtime launch, potentially alongside the M5 Pro and M5 Max MacBook Pros, which are coming in either March or April, or maybe Apple waits until May to release this new MacBook. And just this morning, Marko tweeted again saying that yes, J700 is for sure this new iPhone-powered MacBook. Now, for the third piece of evidence, we've been seeing leaks for this iPhone-powered MacBook for a long time, like back in June of this year from Ming-Chi Kuo, who is a very reputable, reliable leaker who talked about a 13-inch MacBook with an iPhone chip. And these leaks actually started a couple of years ago, back in September of 2023, with a leak from Digitimes claiming that Apple's gonna launch a new low-cost MacBook to rival Chromebooks. So Apple has been planning this for years. For number 4, a few months ago, Mac Rumors found secret code within backend code related to Apple Intelligence that pointed to a new Mac with the identifier Mac 17,1 with an A18 Pro chip, something that has never happened before. So we not only have leaks from reputable leakers, but actual chip leaks proving that Apple is testing an iPhone chip within a Mac. And now with that said, let's move on to the 6 reasons why Windows laptops are screwed. Number 1 is that Mark Gurman confirmed that this new MacBook will have an entirely new design rather than a discounted older machine. Yes, that does confirm that we are not going to see that old M1 MacBook Air redesign with the square display and the chamfered edges, but with an iPhone chip swap, we're getting a new design that's modern, which is going to be a really big deal. That means we're getting MagSafe 3 for charging, which is super convenient. We're getting a nice big trackpad compared to what we had before. We're of course getting a really nice keyboard layout, nice speakers, nice everything. And having an all new design means that Apple can make it ultra thin, even thinner than the MacBook Air. Kind of like when they made the M4 Mac Mini, they made it super tiny, so small you could fit it in your pocket, which blew people's minds. They can do the same thing with a MacBook. And yes, this spells trouble for Windows laptops since you're getting a modern, ultra thin design, well built for only $600 instead of that old M1 MacBook Air design, which has many downsides compared to modern laptops. Moving on to number 2, Ben Bajarin on X said that the entire PC ecosystem is currently freaking out over what is coming from Apple next year. And of course, he's talking about this budget MacBook. He says that the share of Windows PCs under $800 MSRP is 100%. Yes, there has never been a Mac with that low of a price, and suddenly tons of people are gonna be choosing Mac over Windows with similar prices. Just like how the M4 Mac Mini is now cheaper than some competitive mini PCs that are slower than the M4 Mac Mini. I mean, Apple is now going to be making a super high quality and fast MacBook available to the masses at prices similar to Windows laptops. And same thing for Chromebooks. Let's say the $400 range. Many people will pay the extra $200 for a Mac to get all of that reliability, the build quality, the premium materials, the snappiness, the Apple ecosystem features, the resale value, and everything else. It'll just make full financial and logical sense to buy the $600 MacBook instead. For number 3, Mark Gurman says we're getting a brand new, never before seen display, saying it's going to be smaller than the display we have in the current 13.6-inch MacBook Air, which means that there's a good chance that the brand new redesigned chassis will be similar in size to the previous legendary 12-inch MacBook, except now it's going to have super thin display bezels, allowing them to squeeze in a 13-inch display into that smaller chassis. So essentially, it's going to be a revival of the 12-inch MacBook in terms of look, feel, and portability, because if that wasn't the game plan, then Apple would have just reused the same exact 13.6-inch display from the MacBook Air, as that would have been the easiest route. So this new 12-inch MacBook looking design is going to be hugely popular, bringing a sense of nostalgia and uniqueness to this new iPhone chip-powered MacBook. It's going to be the perfect Chromebook competitor. Now for number 4, Apple just reported earnings last week and posted a 13% year-over-year jump in Mac sales, and they fully attributed that to the new M4 MacBook Air, which is a killer value for only $1,000, but now with 16 gigs of RAM and a crazy fast chip. But it's an even better deal on Amazon right now on sale, only $800 brand new, and at that price, it destroys every Windows laptop in that price range. I actually posted about this sale on X, and it went viral with over 3.6 million views, with many people having no idea that you could get a MacBook for that little cash, and some people even said they're gonna order one as soon as they saw that, which is just nuts. So imagine what's gonna happen when Apple goes on stage, or at least in their video, and announces a $600 MacBook. That is gonna go viral, and countless amounts of people are gonna ditch their Windows laptops and Chromebooks for this new MacBook. It is just gonna be insane. And the best part for Apple is the conversion effect that happens when an Android or Windows user switches over to Apple for the first time, and they realize what they've been missing out on. And then from that point on, they're likely to stick to Apple products, which means that the initial $600 MacBook sale could turn into a $2,000 MacBook Pro sale in the future. And then it just snowballs from there, with those users then buying an iPhone, then an Apple Watch, then AirPods, and it keeps going. Now for number 5, I believe Apple's gonna have enough profit margin with this MacBook to be able to sell it for an even lower price on Amazon, which is exactly what they're doing with the $800 M4 MacBook Air deal. Why? Well, because Mark Gurman mentioned it's going to be using a lower end LCD display, so it might not be as fancy or as bright as the one that we have in the M4 model, so that is going to save extra cost. On top of that, the iPhone chip is going to save massive amounts of money for Apple, because first of all, it's going to be using an older A18 Pro chip, which Apple likely has stock of, and then in terms of chip prices, Max Weinbach on X mentioned that A-series chips are generally 40% smaller than M-series chips, which means that they use 40% less silicon wafer material per chip. On top of that, smaller chips have higher yields, also helping cut costs, and not to mention the smaller and thinner chassis, which means less aluminum material, and finally, less battery material, which leads us to number 6. This new MacBook is gonna have the best battery life ever. I mean, since this new MacBook will use an iPhone chip, it'll barely sip any power at all. Just imagine the same chip that's inside a thin and small iPhone, which gets really great battery life, will now be going into a 13-inch laptop with tons of room for batteries. I mean, the logic board inside of the iPhone is tiny, so I can imagine it taking up just the tiniest little chunk of space within that 13-inch MacBook, leaving the rest of the chassis for the batteries. This means that this new MacBook will likely have the best battery life of any laptop ever made in history, even with a smaller or thinner battery than what we currently have in the MacBook Air, and you can bet that Apple will advertise the crap out of that. And that right there is the biggest pain point of Windows laptops, since they generally have pretty bad battery life thanks to poor Windows optimization, and Chromebooks are also not that great. So this new MacBook will be the battery life king, and for only $600, it's gonna destroy everything on the market. So there you guys go. Those are 6 reasons why the new A18 Pro iPhone chip powered MacBook is gonna kill the Windows laptop market. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, and subscribe above for more videos like this one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.